Hey everyone, welcome to iMore.com's weekly show focused on everything iOS, from news and how-tos to app and accessory reviews. This is iPhone and iPad Live.
It's May 09, 2012. This is Georgia, and joining us tonight is the co-host of Iterate and CIO of Nickelfish, Mr. Seth Clifford. Hey, Seth.
Hey, Georgia. How you doing?
I'm good. You feeling rosy today?
Yeah. It's pleasantly warm in my basement again.
Also joining us is the editor-in-chief of iMore.com, our own Mr. Rene.
How's it going, Georgia?
It's going really well. I'm so happy we're doing a show on everything I in it.
I had an entire Avengers greeting planned, but Seth's slacktivity in not seeing the movie yet made me have to postpone it till next week.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you did not see the movie?
I did not get a chance to go to the movies yet. I had other things that needed tending.
Puny Clifford.
Yeah, I
Props
don't even know
and
how
such.
that's possible.
Yeah, I know. I'm a terrible person.
Let's also say hello to our most amazing chat room. Hello, everyone.
Hey, chat room, how you doing?
That had the guts to follow us live.
I see Lloyd the Droid, J-Baby, Mr. Del Fuego, Mech 1164, into area. Travis McGuire, nice.
Travis.
Yep.
Paul.
Awesome. So what do you got for us this week, Georgia?
Well, let's take a look at some things we are giving away. So, you want a chance to win one of 4 new iPads?
How many?
4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but...
4
Wow.
New iPads. Brand spanking new. You don't get to win all 4. 4 people will get to win.
Yeah, you can win 1 of 4.
So, what exactly do they have to do, Rene?
I will stick the rules in the chat room. It's also going to be in the show notes. We're doing this in collaboration with Scout and Telenav, who are always phenomenally awesome. And it's a Facebook contest. So unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your point of view, you have to use the Facebooks to enter. But if you are a Facebooker, you have an excellent chance because you can get your friends to empower you, to level you up, to increase your odds of winning.
And we have from the editor's desk, BlackBerry, Samsung rumor events, the Avengers, more. And I have to say, Rene,
yes.
Awesome picture. If you have not already seen the picture, you should just take a scoop on down because we have been Avengerized. We
have assembled. Yeah, we've got, for people who are listening and not looking, it'll again be in the show notes, but you have Daniel Rubino as the Hulk, Phil Nickinson as Hawkeye, Kevin Mitchelluk as Iron Man, Ashley Esqueda as Nick Fury. How appropriate is that? Georgia as the Black Widow, and many people have said she makes a better looking Black Widow than Scarlett Johansson. Thank you very much. Derek Kessler as the sneeriest Captain America I've ever seen, and yours truly as Ithor.
Very, very nicely done. Very nicely done. Have to say, that's fun.
So if you check out the post, I just go over the BlackBerry World Samsung Unpacked to talk about some rumor repeats, which we can actually delve into a bit, because I like your take on it. So a couple of months ago, we published a rumor about there being a micro dock, that Apple's going to shrink the size of the dock in the next generation iPhone. And, people reported it, but not that many people widely believed it. We got it from a really good source. We're fairly confident it's happening. Then this week, another site published the same rumor, and they didn't bother to mention that anyone else had reported this rumor before. Now, credit aside, I mean, there's a certain amount of courtesy that's usually involved in the blogs aside. For me, whenever we publish a rumor, we like to go back and see who else has commented on it because it lets our readers make a better decision about the quality and likelihood of the rumor. If it's brand new, maybe it's worth a certain amount. If, John Gruber, MG Siegler, a bunch of other people have reported similar rumors, there's a much higher likelihood that it might happen. So I think in general, that's a valuable service to provide for your readers is not just rumors, but the context and quality surrounding the rumors.
Plus, let's talk about common courtesy. In any journalist, if it's your idea, that's great. If not, you're stealing something and publishing it as if it is your own creative idea without giving justification to where you first got it.
Well, no,
from.
I believe that they got this from their own source. They have very good sources. So, I mean, we've often heard rumors other people have heard before. We've just said that other people have heard them before.
Yeah, it's respectful.
So, and the reason I'm saying this is that we have got more rumors that will be coming their way soon, and not everything in some of the other sites' posts are true according to our rumors. So we'll see how that goes. I'll have that up, I think,
we've been
tomorrow.
hitting a pretty good track record for having our rumors come out to be pretty damn accurate.
Yep.
We have the good source.
Yes, it is not Seth's beard as much as some people would like to believe that.
Mm-hmm,
And
that's
okay,
true.
maybe you won't want me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. And some sites that said, we don't like to publish rumors. And then they're like, oh, you know what? They were absolutely right. iMore had it right from the start.
Yeah, that's always the best.
I love that. They're like, ooh, that's a sketchy rumor. And then they're like, yeah, you were absolutely right.
Well, we don't publish a lot of our own rumors. We're very careful. We get a ton of stuff sent to us, and most of it we don't believe, so we don't publish it. So it's got to be what we consider to be a really good source before we'll do an original post on it.
That we will. So we did a poll on if the home screen needs to have an update in iOS 6. And, wait a second.
This is because we discussed this at length in the last podcast. I know all of you have listened to it already, but if you haven't, go give it a listen because Georgia put up this poll to kind of see what everyone else thought after we discussed it.
Now, I was surprised with the amount of people that felt that there should be a completely, totally new redesign. 40%, 2,600 people thought that there should be a totally new redesign for the home screen. Seth, are you shocked by that?
No, I'm not shocked that people want that, but they're probably going to be shocked when they don't get it, or maybe not. No, I don't. It's not shocking at all. I mean, I kind of want something to be a little bit different, but realistically,
no, not a little bit different. A little bit different. We ended up with 40% also, 25% saying yes, give me widgets. 25% also saying somewhat, give me a visual refresh. But 40% want something completely new.
And if you add it up, I mean, you have 90% of people who want some sort of change.
Right. Right. The people that want it to stay the same, 9%.
Yeah, and
8% actually, sorry. 8% of people want to stay the same, and then 90% of people want some sort of change. Now, I don't mind like widgets or something a little, but a totally new redesign, I really like my iPhone for a reason.
See, here, I've been thinking about this a lot, and sometimes Seth says things that kind of stick in my brain and fester. And I was thinking about this based on our last podcast and some of the stuff we've discussed on Iterate about skeuomorphism. And it seems like for Apple, and Johnny Ive has said this repeatedly, it's just a screen. They try to make the device disappear as much as possible. So the home screen experience is not something that interests Apple that much because that's sort of like Chrome. That's something that gets in your way of using apps, and they would rather the phone just be your content. So for them, a very simple home screen where you go in, you hit your app, and you're in the app, I think has advantages, at least from the way they think about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, keep in mind, too, that 9% of people who are perfectly happy with the way things are probably represents 90% of the actual, consumer public that's using the devices. The people that answered that poll that really want change, as much as, we all fly that flag together, that we're a fraction of a fraction of a fraction.
A noisy fraction, but a fraction.
Yeah, but, Apple's not exactly the kind of company to listen to the noisy fraction.
There's another possible show title right there.
Yeah.
Keep track of these folks.
Noisy fraction.
Right. Rene, what do you want?
In terms of home screen?
Yeah.
I'm fine.
You've had time to mull.
A little bit more information density, a little bit more glanceable information, maybe slightly. The lock screen doesn't impress me. I mean, it does what it does, but it's not elegant about it. So a little bit better. The stuff I want really isn't the home screen. It's getting more stuff from the home screen into the apps. A lot of people want the apps to come out and go into the home screen like widgets, but I would rather the home screen go into the apps because I spend far more time in the apps than I do in the home screen. And I want stuff like Byte SMS so I don't have to leave my app to do text messages. And I want to be able to peek at emails. I want all that functionality poured back into the apps, not the other way around.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I would be satisfied with icons that just updated and showed me information. I mean, for the time being, my eyes are still
icons.
pretty decent. I'd like to see the icons change and just reflect, updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. Well, we have gotten some changes. iOS 5.1.1 is out, and it contains some improvements and some bug fixes, which include improves reliability of the HDR option for photos, taken using the lock screen shortcut. It addresses bugs that could prevent the new iPad from switching between 2G and 3G networks. It also fixes bugs that affected AirPlay video playback in some circumstances, improved reliability for syncing Safari bookmarks and reading list, and fixes an issue where you are unable to purchase alert could be displayed after a successful purchase. Never had that.
Yeah, these point releases are so boring.
Want to stay clear. So I'm going to say it before you have to ask me, Rene. No, no, and no.
Yeah, you didn't. It's funny.
Didn't update. I'm not going to update, and maybe not even after the jailbreak comes out. Whatever.
So the thing for me that's more interesting is we are now, like granted, iOS 5 came out much later in the year than iOS 4 did in the same year previously. Came out in October. But iOS 5.1 was a very small update. Usually the 0.1 updates have a little bit more into them. And now we're only getting 5.1.1. It seems like Apple put so much into 5.0 that they really don't feel like they have much left to give us over the year, and that's unusual. I find that unusual.
Well, you've said this before. They've kind of hit the low-hanging fruit. So think about past versions of iOS and the point updates that we got that added significant features. I mean, what's left that could be rolled out in a point update that you would want to see?
They could have thrown us the panorama bone.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, panorama bone, another one. I'm having fun tonight.
It's going to be a lot.
Well, so I asked out, how is your battery life on 5.1.1? So, Rene, what do people think? And did you update, Rene?
Oh, I updated immediately. I always update immediately just because, I feel a responsibility to our readers who are going to look at the post and wonder whether they should update or not. So I want to go through it. And if something fails, I'd rather it fail for me. Or if there's an issue, I'd rather I have it. That way.
Take a hit for the team. We love it.
Yeah, well, it better informs my writing about it. And if people do have problems, I can more quickly address them, at least in a slightly informed fashion. But do you want to know the results?
Yes, please.
So 59%, basically 60% of people said it's the same, no difference. 14% said great, not a single problem with it. 11% said good, better than iOS 5.1. About the same, 11% said bad, worse than iOS 5.1. And about 4% said terrible, nothing but problems. Apple made it worse. So if we do a quick addition, again, we have 12 plus 4. I wish Liana was here. 12 plus 14, that's 26, plus 60. So like 86% of the people who think the battery life is the same or better than it was on the previous firmware.
Okay, Seth, did you update?
Yeah, I did.
And how's your battery life? Did you notice anything at all different?
No, it seems the same. I stopped paying attention to my battery life right about 2 weeks after I got the 4S when everybody stopped crying about their battery life. And it lasts, the day and then some if I use it normally. So I don't even think about it anymore.
For me, it depends on the apps. Like, for example, if I have Skype running, the battery's going to run down. If I have Draw Something running, the battery is going to run down. So
right, but the question is it any worse than before you update?
Oh, hell no.
Because no matter what, you're going to use something that's going to drain a lot of the battery, it's going to drain a lot of the battery. But does the actual update itself help and or hinder the battery issue?
The OS is solid. I mean, the OS is solid since they did the early updates to iOS 5. Now it's just individual configurations that might be experiencing issues due to apps or due to push setting on accounts or things like that. Unfortunately, those are really hard to troubleshoot, but that's what we're down to now.
Right. Well, I'm not updating because I'm keeping my jailbreak. And Ali asked the question that a lot of people have been discussing, which is is there actually a future for jailbreak? And I'm going to ask you, Seth, first what your take on it is, because you're no longer jailbroken and happy without it. Or am I assuming that?
No, that's correct. I am a former Team Jailbreak convert, not for
Infatuation junkie.
He just wanted to be pure. He's like born again, pure.
No, it's not. This is not a philosophical choice. This comes down solely to function versus time spent. And for me, in every other version of iOS, there were glaring omissions to the operating system, so much so that I felt that hacking was the best way to make my phone work the way I wanted to. And that's something that I've been doing for a really long time, since, with my BlackBerry before that, with my Windows mobile phones before the BlackBerry.
I was hacking the visor.
Yeah, I've broken plenty of phones, doing things I shouldn't. So that was just something I did, and it was very natural. And with iOS 5, I started running it with the beta very early on, and there was obviously no jailbreak at that point. I got so acclimated to using the operating system as it was, and it added just enough to push me over that crest of, oh, I still need to tinker, I still need to do stuff, that I got very comfortable with it the way it was. And then my life kind of got busier, and as such, I just forgot about it. I just thought, you know what? Things are working, I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm very happy the way things are. I sometimes see jailbreak tweaks and really, salivate and think, wow, that looks awesome, but I just don't feel the need to do it anymore. Is there a future for jailbreak? Yeah, of course there is. There's always reasons that you would want to do stuff like that, and there's always people who will still do it. And there's a vibrant jailbreak community despite the stuff that iOS 5 has brought to the table, and I sincerely hope it continues, because I love watching, the kinds of crazy things that people do. Stuff like that keyboard thing that we were talking about a couple days ago. That's already a jailbreak thing. Now, if that's something that makes its way into the operating system at some point, Apple has, in some cases, used the jailbreak stuff as a test bed, as kind of like the farm team for, the iOS 5 big leagues. And, it's a great place to find ideas. Obviously, they've found people that they've hired in the past. And I don't know. I think it's just interesting. I wouldn't want to see it go away.
Okay, Rene, your take on it.
I'm going to go through, because Allie did an awesome job separating out the list, and I'm going to go through her list quickly and just tell you which ones I think apply to me. So she has some really good arguments here. One is just what Seth said, that Apple has filled in the blanks, not sometimes as well as jailbreak, but often good enough that you don't want to go through the hassle of having to worry about, like Georgia not updating, or sometimes the phone, you put too much on it and it becomes less stable. You don't want to have to worry about any of that. You're no longer clubbing. You're now married and responsible. So you're just, using whatever Apple gives you. Jailbreak does get things faster, but again, they're not always part of the OS. And one of the things, I don't know if we'll talk about it on this show, but when you talk about things like the keyboard or like the windowing system we talked about last show, jailbreak is so fast that sometimes they provide functionality before thinking about the ramifications of that functionality. And that also disincentivizes me from doing it. Previously, Apple rejected a lot of apps. They don't reject that many anymore, and I don't use any of the ones that they do reject. But some people, and also Rogers gives me free tethering, so I don't have to jailbreak just to get free tethering. I don't use Groove Shark, so I'm okay. Themes and toggles, I like themes, but I don't depend on them. It wasn't a big deal to me. A lot of people, and we kind of shy away from talking about this because we don't want to feel like we support it, but a lot of people jailbreak to get free apps, basically to steal apps. There's a jailbreaker, Stefan Esser, who's known as Iconic. He's awesome. He has already jailbroken the new iPad on 5.1.1, but he won't share it because he feels like people are just using his work to steal things. So these people will jailbreak no matter what because they want free apps. It doesn't matter how well you decorate Starbucks, like Ali said. If someone just wants to steal the coffee, they could care less what it looks like inside. And that's kind of where I am now. I think I used to jailbreak all the time. I wanted all the functionality, and now Apple's provided enough that it's no longer worth the effort. I'm willing to settle.
For me, I think just even idea of being able to get like even if I don't get the applications, I love the idea that if there is something new and cool out there, then I can choose to get it. I don't actually download a lot of jailbroken applications. I will every once in a while, but I don't have a lot of time to take a look and test things out, and I need my phone to be stable. But things like Byte SMS will keep me there, because there's nothing more annoying as when I'm doing something and I get a pop-up and I have to make a choice. I love being able to just reply and it's done, and I can still keep on playing my Plants vs. Zombies or whatever else I happen to be playing at the time. So I think there'll always be a future for jailbreak. Whether or not at some point Apple will choose to shut it down and make people have to make a choice as, doing something that is completely, voiding all warranty, I think still there'll be a future for jailbreak. People will still do it. I don't think that there's any way that Apple can actually stop it. So I think jailbreak, no matter what, will be live and well.
I agree.
Byte SMS is the perfect example of something that I previously could not live without on previous phones and previous versions of iOS, and I just feel like the 4S's speed and iOS 5 just snapping back and forth is quick enough that I don't really mind. Yes, don't get me wrong, Byte SMS's implementation is far and away what I would love to see natively supported in the operating system, but right. I think the speed has reached a point, like Rene said, he just doesn't care. I'm all right with it. I let it go.
I don't think that I could. I don't think that I could, just because I spend a lot of time doing other things. It would drive me mad. And I get a lot of messages. Again, I'm talking to people all the time and clients that need certain things, so I have to answer them right away. I can't wait, and I can't risk forgetting. So it's something that I have to answer, and yet sometimes I need the downtime as well. So it kind of gives me that midstream in between. If I could just leave it and go back to it in an hour or two, then that would be something that I probably wouldn't bother about as well, for the speed for that.
Right.
And Billy Burr in the chat room is downloading it now, Georgia. You sold a copy.
Oh, awesome. Yes, you really should. It's a
great app.
Well,
yeah.
You'll never be sad about getting the app and the paid version. It's really, really good.
No, it's definitely solid.
Rene, you wrote up an article on iOS text editing concepts and the keys to consistency. What exactly were you discussing?
That's what I was mentioning just before. There was this concept video, and I'll bring it up so that we can see it while I'm talking. Okay. But basically, there was this text editing in iOS can be painful, especially if you're using the virtual keyboard. You have to take your fingers off, go search for text. It's not particularly quick. So a guy mocked up what his idea was for adding a layer of gesture shortcuts. Where is that now? Okay, so here it is. So a guy did a mock-up of gesture shortcuts and what he thought would be a better idea, a better implementation for this. And I'm going to play it now just so that everybody can see it.
Okay, so that looks good. See the different typing, words moving. But how is this different, Rene?
Keep watching. It's a very short
for those
video.
That can't see.
Oh, all right. So
there.
I'll describe. So what's happening is he is using gestures on the keyboard. By sliding his finger backwards on the keys, he's deleting. If he slides two fingers, he's deleting faster. By using the Shift key, he is doing a selection the way you would on a standard keyboard. So he's basically, like, on a normal keyboard you have Control-C or Command-C on the Mac. He's basically introducing that kind of shortcuts to the iOS keyboard. And what the nice thing about this is, just to Seth's point before, the jailbreak community has already implemented this, and you can get it. I don't know if it's available yet, but they've shown off a demo of it, and I believe it's available, or will be available via Cydia. But the thing for me is that, again, I start thinking about ramifications. When you have a system, or if you have, like, for example, a pond, you throw a rock in there, it ripples. So you start introducing shortcuts. Apple already has iOS-wide shortcuts. Do these collide with those? Do I have to now remember two different ways of doing text selection, one when there's a keyboard, one when there is not a keyboard? Is there a way that we could just have one better form of text selection for both modes? So I think it's definitely interesting. I think it's great that it raises the discussion, but I'm not sure a separate set of gestures in one mode is for the best.
Well, I'm gonna pick that baby up and test it out and see if it actually makes my life easier. Or again, there's a certain amount. If I have to do a whole bunch of work trying to memorize different things, I have too much things to do in the day to have to do that.
Well, I think it would be instinctive. I think you'd pick it up in a matter of a half a second, just because it's kind of natural movements. But then I would be trying to do that when there's no keyboard in Safari, because text selection is really not that much better without the keyboard. And I would really rather have a better system for both.
Fair.
Sethicus?
Yeah, I kind of land where you are. I think it's a really cool idea, but it could be disjointed if not implemented properly.
Interesting. When Seth agrees with me, it makes me wonder.
You're all
getting
happy
in your head.
about that. So, Rene, you put up, or was it you that put up the video, or did you do the video, or did
I think if it's okay with you, I think maybe we'll just skip ahead a little bit, because this is kind of, eh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The one thing I did want to mention though is, and I think we can just make fun of this briefly, the AT&T CEO really, really regrets doing unlimited data. It's very sad.
That's all right. I really, really regret staying on AT&T this long.
Yeah. And the one thing I wanted to ask you guys about, because this is another area where, again, I wonder about the ramifications. There was this fake rumor going around that Apple might be investigating using multi-user support in iPad. Like, when you go to your computer, you can log in. If you have different members of your family, they can each have their own login, their own desktop, their own set of settings and customizations. The iPad, it doesn't. If you give your iPad to someone else, they're using your iPad. They have access to all your messages, all your bookmarks. There's no way to share an iPad. It's a personal device. So this rumor is that Apple would be bringing multi-user support. And it's not real. It was a boilerplate answer. But do you guys want that? Is that something you'd like, Georgia? That if you could give your iPad to your husband, your friend, your kid, and have them get their own login for it?
I would, actually. I would. For me, it would be useful. There's so many people. I'll be honest. We're swimming in iPads. It's not like that anyone can use it. But we will grab whichever iPad is the closest iPad, and then suddenly, like if I could have one login and they were my games that I had played and they were saved in that, or my favorite websites, and someone else doesn't add a website to my set of websites. It's the same thing with sharing an iTunes account, and suddenly I have music that I don't like on my phone, and I have to get rid of them myself manually. Slightly annoying. So I would appreciate being able to have multiple user logins. Seth?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we take our iPads to meetings and client pitches, and we show them applications that we've built, and we demo stuff that we've done. And I really don't relish the idea of handing over my personal device to be passed around a table and have people poking at what I assume is the app I want them to see, but I don't really know what they're looking at. I'd much rather prefer putting it into guest mode, having all the apps there without my data in them, and then sending it around the table and letting them see.
Right. Yeah.
But to me, that'd be a rather huge. So I start to think these things through. And for example, depending on which app you're talking about, if it's music, you can't store. The iPad is still a data limited device. You have 16, 32, 64 gigs. It starts getting hard if you want to store multiple users' library, or does everyone share music?
That would make more chance of people to buy the 64 gig if they need it, though.
And if that's enough,
would
still
actually probably help Apple earn a little bit more money.
Well, I mean, if that's still, yeah.
The next generation of iPad, you're just going to have to upgrade when they upgrade the memory.
And then also, like an app, how does it? Right now, I don't believe there's any way to abstract different pools of data in an app. An app just has one pool of data to share from. There'd have to be a major change in each app. I guess similar to how multitasking was implemented, but you'd have to have apps made multi-user aware.
Well, that's actually what I was just thinking about. You could have a central repository for music or even photos if you so allowed it. But for apps, I mean, I could see them definitely taking the app package and sequestering some of the data in one side and, another part of the data in the other side, and letting people have, you're not installing the app twice. You have one copy of Infinity Blade, and you have for each account 2 little data chunks saved within that app, and whichever account you're within calls that data.
Yeah, it would still have to be implemented though.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how Apple's going to sell the iPad to companies, hospitals, schools if they cannot have it be multi-user. I think that if you're going to use it, especially for a hospital, just thinking about having different doctors being able to use that and having different files that are personal and important that anyone else doesn't see, I think that it would be an important, it would be almost expected that they would have to have that at some stage in the game.
See, but you're not using your evil Apple hat tonight, because Apple is selling tons and tons of them to those people, and what they're doing is saying each person needs one. You can't share them.
And they could still do that, but it's still, again, for safety uses, and if you're going to give it to a nurse who only has a certain amount of access, and it's the doctor's iPad. And
see, but she has to get her own iPad. We've now sold 2 of them.
No, you see, there's no way that the hospitals are going to be able to do that. There's just way too many nurses and repositories. And then people will just go back to laptops. It would just make it less feasible.
See, I hate contradicting you, because whenever I do that, the Wall Street Journal publishes an article saying the exact same thing that you said the next day. They obviously listen to this podcast. But I think right now people are just buying them. I mean, the adoption rates in enterprise are ridiculous. And I think people might buy them before they think about it. I would like a guest mode, though. Like, like the Mac, you can just turn it on and just have Safari. I would like the iPad to just turn on and just have Safari and basically be a Chromebook. And then my kid or my friend or whomever could use that.
Yeah, I see that.
Apps?
Can we skip down to draw something?
One sec. There was one other thing that I think was... George, I lost my place. I'm out of position.
Okay, well, I'll talk about Draw Something, and then you can head back to that after. So I was playing Draw Something quite a lot, and after a while, like with so many people, and it was a little bit repetitive. I didn't stop because of Zynga buying Draw Something, but Draw Something has dropped off the map almost for an application. A lot of people have stopped using it and or deleted it just because of its being acquired by Zynga. And now they're, trying to make some money. Ads and other things. Are you still playing, Rene or Seth?
Well, I mean, they experimented for this. So I think there's several issues here. I remember drawing Kentucky Fried, like the Colonel Sanders head way back when Draw Something first came out. Yes. So they've been surreptitiously doing this for a while. And I'm not sure. Sorry?
And let me just explain it, is that, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, is that they made their advertising part of the application itself. So the things that they would ask you to draw were the ads. So maybe KFC or Michael Jordan or Nike or other things, which I think is quite brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sneaky. It's sneaky brilliance.
It's sneaky, and it's a nice way to put it in. Though, after a certain amount of time, I don't know.
I didn't even notice it first. Like, I didn't notice it was advertising, which shows how brilliant it is. But I just kind of, and it didn't have anything to do with Zynga either. I was just done. I tried it for a little while. It was novel, and then it was no longer novel, so I stopped. For me, it was just it didn't have long lasting replay value.
And the words were repetitive. There weren't enough words after a while of playing. I think that someone else brought up a really good point, that another reason was that you could not be matched by level, by skill level. So, you might be drawing something and someone else that was not much of an artist would be drawing. And some people felt a lot of anxiety just by drawing because they weren't a very good artist.
And sometimes good artists were worse because it would take them forever to draw something. I would have to wait 10 minutes for Kessler to frickin' draw a cloud in a tree.
But yeah, it's true. It's true. Some people take a really long time to draw to it, and it doesn't get to the point. Though I saw some amazing drawings. Seth, you did some pretty fabulous drawings, and Rene, you're quite the artist. And some of your drawings were quite phenomenal as well. So that was always interesting just to see, how far. I know actually one of the funniest things was there was one person that tried to draw very questionable pictures until the end. So it was a wrestling picture, but you just saw one man on top of the other man. And then only at the end did you notice they were wrestling. Sorry.
Very Stephen Colbert.
So that's it. You can say what you had wanted to go to.
No, before. So I'm not sure it's anything to do with Zynga. I think, would you agree, Seth, that Zynga bought it at the absolute worst time to have bought this company?
Or what would have been a better time?
When it was less expensive and it was still on the way up?
Yeah, I guess so, but they didn't want it then. They wanted it when it already had a bazillion users.
When it peaked. when there was nowhere to go but down. And the UI was never, I mean, it was never, I think we talked about this on another show, but it was never a good app. It was a popular app, but it was never a well-designed app.
No, waiting, it was also a long wait time, like to see when they draw out that you won, like it just took so long. I'm like, hurry up, I just want to go. What exactly did you think that it went for?
I forget what the amount was, but it was silly.
Wasn't it 200 million?
Yeah, it was like a fifth of an Instagram or something. Jesus. So this is what I wanted to go to because I love it. I love very little more than when Seth puts his Hulk pants on.
Ooh.
And decides to smash something. And this week, an app called Instacast, which I'm always confusing with Instagram and Instapaper, so forgive me if I say the wrong one at some point. Instacast, which is a popular podcasting client, updated to version 2.0, got a new UI, a new business model, and Seth decided to take him out to the woodshed just a little bit.
This wasn't... All right, so let's take a quick step back. This wasn't about me just going berserk because they added in-app purchases. This really is not about that. It's not about the money. I buy tons of apps. I've purchased Instacast for iPad, Snow Tape Radio, another app that Vimedio makes, and I have no problem supporting developers. So the people that have gotten on my case about that really missed the point entirely. What this was about is that the app came out with a version 2 interface that was supposed to have cleaned up the flows within the application. Now, Instacast was, in my opinion, a pretty good podcast app. It was not the best app I've ever used, and I may have been, yesterday I was a little riled, so I admitted in the comments on the post that, I probably laid into it a little bit more than I ordinarily would have. But the bottom line is that I don't really like any of these apps very much. I use the one that I think I can get by with, that I like the best of that bunch.
There's still no Tweety for podcasts.
Exactly. This is my honest personal opinion, okay? So I was derided for, saying this and saying I wouldn't continue to support the developer, but I've already supported the developer. They have my money. Like, this is my opinion. I should be allowed to voice it, but I digress. Basically, I listen to podcasts in a very specific way. I have a bunch of feeds. I refresh them once a night. They stack up in the order that they stack up, which in the previous version was oldest to newest at the top in my playlist, my one playlist that I had. And that's it. I just go through and I listen in order so I can hear the old stuff and clear that out and come to the new stuff that way. Rene and I have had conversations about the inscrutable nature of some of the gestures and the size of the touch targets and things like that. And we've nerded out on that a bit. But my main problem with this is that the in-app purchase was billed as, hey, we're adding all these great features for users, and we've cleaned up the interface. Well, my first contention is that the interface is not cleaned up. I mean, it's changed.
It's different, not better.
It's changed and it's different, but I really wouldn't call it cleaned up. And everybody else on the internet was like, it's so much better. And I just was like, I don't think it is. I just don't. So I said that. The other thing is that you used to be able to sort with a setting from newest to oldest or from oldest to newest. And there was only one place where that seemed to apply, and that was your playlists. So the default behavior was whatever it was, and that's how I had it set. In the new app, the way that the podcasts come in the only playlist that's available to you, or in your downloaded playlist or your unplayed playlist, whichever one you want to look at, they come newest to oldest now. So I have to then go through extra taps and steps to listen to them in the order that I had previously listened to them. And my understanding is that if I purchase the in-app $199 thing, then I can edit, quote unquote, smart
that's important because you buy the app and then there's an additional in-app purchase if you so choose.
Right, that's correct. This is not a free app with an in-app upgrade. This is you purchase the app and then you pay a little bit more for these extra features. Well, I don't have any need for those extra features, and the only thing I ever did with this app was simply listen to podcasts. I don't really do show notes. I don't share out. I don't do a lot of that stuff. I just want to get the stuff and listen to it. And what really perturbed me was that I was being sold this idea that they were adding value, but they had taken my one use case away from me, and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it, and I didn't want to use the app in the new way. And that's fine. Like, other people can go their own way and say, this is much better. We like it this way. And as I said in my post, they may have had 98% feedback that says, this is the way this should be, newest to oldest. And that's it. And they made the choice. And we all know how tough making choices is, because we've talked about that, ad nauseum, to do that. I don't agree with that choice, so I said so, and I chose not to buy the upgrade to get my choice back. I just didn't agree with that.
/rant.
I was kind of heated yesterday just because I was thinking about it, and now I'm fine. I'm perfectly lucid and able to talk about it. But
hey, Seth happens.
Some people were like, "Yeah, you're totally right." Some people were like, "You're a jerk. As a developer, you should be respectful." And I'm like. I paid for the app. I have an opinion. If you don't like it, you don't have to agree with it. But that was my honest take on it, and I gave reasons and rationale. It wasn't just this sucks and you suck and I hate your family. This was
like some of the comments afterwards.
Yeah, and I tried to address people's criticism in when Rene posted it on iMore in the comments as respectfully as I could, and just said, "Hey, listen, this is." Oh,
that was your mistake.
No, you know what? It was they were not trolling. They really had things that they disagreed with, and so I respect that, and I answered for it. But
here's my thing. So I didn't get as deep as you into this, but I have tried numerous pod catching clients, and I have been using Instacast only because I used it first and I was used to the way that it worked, and none of the other ones were so much compellingly enough better that I would make the switch and have to learn a different method. So when Instacast goes and changes their UI, it effectively becomes a new app. Anytime you do a significant UI change, it becomes a new app. And that means I am going to go look at other apps again, because the one advantage you had, which was familiarity, is gone. So if I'm not familiar with it anymore, I am not bound to it anymore, and I'm going to go exploring, and I may or may not come back. So it's always a risky move.
Which is exactly the same reason why I believe that there's very little chance that Apple will not change the home screen interface.
Yes.
But anyways, I digress from that. Can we take a peek at some of the styluses that we have?
Oh, I have one more. Sorry, I have one more app thing to get through. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Ali decided to take a look at SkyDrive versus Dropbox versus Google Drive. And this space has I think the same space, it's exploded lately. I think most of us, Seth and I, definitely use Dropbox. Georgia uses Dropbox because it was the only real competent alternative. It's still the best supported alternative, but both Microsoft and Google are giving away tons of storage, adding new features. If you already use Dropbox, there's really no reason to switch. I would use the other ones as additions to, not alternatives to. But if you are still new to online storage and you're looking for options, give Ali's article a look. It can help you decide.
Yeah, I've just been using Dropbox for so long, and it's been so good and reliable for me. I have no interest in switching out.
Yeah, Jessica Ramos at home is saying that it's all about what's integrated with your apps, and that's true. Dropbox is just in all my apps, therefore I am in Dropbox.
Box has a lot of support too. Probably second to Dropbox, I think, Box.net. But and they have some good storage deals too. For a while, you could get 50 gigs for free if you signed up, from a mobile device. So I don't know if that's still going on, but that's a good alternative if you're looking for.
It's more enterprisey, I feel.
It is more enterprisey, but after Dropbox, it probably has the most support. So if you're looking for an alternative, you might want to check into that.
Awesome. All right, Georgia.
It's box.com now, apparently.
Yes.
Chat room is saying.
Box.
And the storage deal is over, so you missed it.
They come and go. I mean, Dropbox is just doing a deal with some of the Android devices now.
If everyone all excited, Seth. And
yeah, well, people will be listening to the podcast later.
You got to catch it while it's hot.
Keep your eyes open.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been taking a look at some styluses. There's a lot of styli questions, and we are going to be looking at a ton. I have a box of styluses. This is my box.
Other people have stylus boxes, but this one is Georgia's.
Yeah, this is my style.
Nice.
We have 100,000 styluses that we're going to be reviewing. Some of them will not even make it to the review stage, so I apologize if not. But too bad Leanna is not in the chat room because we reviewed the Wacom Bamboo stylus.
Oh yeah, she was mad. She was not happy with our review.
I have never seen Leanna be so pissed off at a review. Go take a look at the review.
She flip out?
And see how angry Leanna was.
Tiny fists of fury.
She loves this stylus. She was, I think, a little bit personally hurt.
She's like, why are you pushing so hard on the nib? I never do that. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, there's a picture of us to see how much pressure it actually takes. And even if I'm just like putting the stylus down, like really it's so squishy. Like its squish level is like off the roof. It just,
now, to be fair to the Wacom or Wacom, I'm not sure which way is the proper way of saying it.
But can we get a ruling on that?
Yeah, Waco, so Wacom. How's that? Sure. Wacky, okay. So Wacom. So the thing is this, the reviews that we're doing this week are for pro level styluses. We're doing the Adonit Jot Pro. We are doing the SGP Cool H12, and we are doing the Pogo Pro. And Wacom only has one stylus. They don't have an entry level and a pro stylus. So we're comparing pros to sort of middling ground there.
Right, so we are reviewing some of the most popular ones first, and then we'll take a look at some of the different types, smaller, everything it so may be. So you can take a look at the review, but Rene, give a few seconds of your thoughts on how did the Bamboo actually do.
Yeah, we've only posted the Bamboo and the Jot so far, so we're not going to do any spoilers. We're only going to recapitulate here. The Wacom is, it's a good general purpose, functional stylus. It's not great at anything, but it's okay at most things. It is smaller and more compact than a lot of the other styluses we checked. If I do a quick height comparison, you can see that it is by the H12 is just a tiny bit taller, but it's okay. Leanna loves it. I would never ever say anything that would get me punched by Leanna because her fists hurt, but it was not my favorite.
I have to say, because I had never used the Bamboo before that, actually. I tried other styluses, but I hadn't tried the Bamboo. So I was expecting a lot from this stylus, and I'm going to say it, go ahead, underwhelmed.
How come people are underwhelmed or overwhelmed and no one's ever just whelmed?
Yeah, I was not
whelmed.
even just that. That's exactly how I felt about the stylus. I was just whelmed. It's a nice stylus. It does well, but I expected more. But it's beautiful. It comes in lots of different colors.
And you can check out the review for more. It's going to be in the show notes.
You have to take a look at the review and give a comment because you have to see Leanna's response. Like it was great. It was just absolutely great.
Yeah, maybe you agree with Leanna.
And maybe you do. Lots of people did. They said, "Wow, how could you say that about?"
But in fairness, all right, so maybe we shouldn't have done the Wacom first, but we did it compared to other pro level styluses, and we tested each stylus in a couple of note-taking apps, including Note Shelf and Penultimate, a couple of drawing apps, including Procreate and Paper, and a couple of games, including Draw Something, and what was the one? Zuma, George, is that how you say it?
Zynga. Not Zynga.
Zuma. Zuma.
Yes, Zuma. Love Zuma. And it just, we had to be honest. In the pro level, it couldn't fight. It's a lower weight division. What can we say about that? We also took a look at, go ahead, Rene, show it off.
The Adonit Jot Pro. And this is really different because it is built like... I'm going to talk about my youth here. I spent hours every day drawing with mechanical pencils and pens. So this is like old home week to me. It feels like a real pen, and it's got a disc at the end because it still has to be capacitive. And if you're listening and not watching, we'll have all the pictures in the show notes, and the reviews are up on the site with video so you can catch up. But it's a really different feel. It does not have a soft silicone top. It has a hard metallic top with a hard plastic disc on it. And that makes for a very different experience.
Yeah, I was surprised. At first, as with many other people, I hated it. It's a hard plastic little flat pad that's on the top for those that are not looking at the screen and not watching the video version. So it's hard. It makes a little tap noise, but for fine detail work, it's amazing. It's 1 second.
Yeah, if you're like a penciler, an inker, a draftsman, if you want to do very fine line work, you want this stylus.
You guys really like this one.
This one came off quite well for drawing and for doing fine detail work.
Yeah, it sucks for brush work because it's the wrong feeling. It's like if you can't paint with a pencil.
Yeah, but I'm listening because I do more, like mechanical pencil analog things. So it's just the disc.
Also, if you use a
clearness of the disc, which is so helpful because with it gives the capacitiveness so that it gives the thing, but you know exactly where you're drawing and where you're not. And I liked that. That actually gave, after you can get over the fact that it makes a little tap every time it comes down.
Yeah, that's the thing though. If you do a lot of staccato writing or gaming, like Georgia when she's playing Zuma, she's going tap, 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 tap. And because it's metal, it's literally going tap, tap. If you're in a silent room, tap, 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 tap.
Yeah, okay.
But it worked out really well. Some people did mention, which I wanted to bring up in the chat after.
Is that the sound?
Yep.
That's the sound. Can you stop that? That's
only if you're tapping. Only if you're... for example, I don't tap almost ever because I'm mostly doing line work and it has continuous contact. But when Georgia's playing her games, it's tap, 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 tap.
Yeah, if you're drawing or you're doing sketching or you're doing any type of thing that you have to do a lot of design work, something that's fine print, this is actually going to really help you out because it is absolutely clear. Now, the one thing that was brought up in... the comments, which I think is a really good point, is that you have to make sure that the base is not damaged.
Yes.
Because if it is, or if it comes in slightly defective, it might scratch your iPad or your iPhone. And some people did mention that they had some scratches. It's not something that the way that it comes, we got 2 of them. We got the mini and the Pro version, and both of them are flat and soft, and you're not going to have to worry about scratching. But also, if you don't put the cap on it and you put it into your purse, pocket, or anything else, there's a good chance that that plastic disc could be damaged and you're going to have a problem.
And also
but it went over very well.
It's worth noting that they have an SDK, and some apps like Procreate have used their SDK to provide a better experience than, for example, Paper would using the same tool, just because it's adjusted perfectly for what this stylus does.
Though I would have to say that if you get it, you need to give it a little bit of time, because at first I couldn't stand it. I was like, this is ridiculous and stressful. But then after a while, I really enjoyed the experience of drawing and fine detail work with it.
And Leanna still doesn't like it. She got one at Macworld. She tried it. She abandoned it. So she wanted me to say that too.
Right. I wanted to go through one of the new cases that I am going to be reviewing because the case
because of all the wonderful things it does.
Because it's actually made with this.
What?
It looks like silly putty. What this actually is...
Hold on. For the people listening, Georgia has got what looks like an orange version of the goo that Slimer from Ghostbusters spat all over Dr. Peter Venkman.
Achoo! No. It is non-Newtonian fluid, which is a fluid... Woo! It also bounces, very interestingly enough. Weep. I can't bounce really well, so... Oh.
Does non-Newtonian mean that if it was made out of an apple, it would float upwards?
It bounced right off the screen.
Yes.
So what non-Newtonian fluid is that it's a fluid that when it is hit or struck, it becomes firmer, so it's more protective. And this is the case that they brought me. It is the Tech 21 D30. And the wonderful thing, this is the first time someone sent me a case. They sent me this case, and the wonderful thing is that they said, go ahead and test this out. We want you to throw it, drag it, do whatever you want with it, and see how well this case protects your phone. And we've reviewed many protective cases, but no one has actually said, go ahead and try to destroy it.
Did they give you an iPhone to test it with?
Pardon me?
Did they give you an iPhone to test it with? Because that would be really...
My poor old iPhone is probably going to be stuck in that baby, and I'm going to throw it around and we'll see.
Now, why did they give it a name that comes out of Nokia's old handset book?
Yeah, I can't say I love the name, but as you can see, and I was hoping that it was made of more of the non-Newtonian fluid, but you can see, I'm going to just show on the inside, the orange strip, which goes all the way around the different edges. and it has a little bit of a honeycomb on the inside, and yes, large space for the flash. I figured I'm not really into the jelly cases, really, and I'm going to say it, I like this case.
Do you like it because the non-Newtonian fluid means that if you use it for theft deterrent, it will most likely bounce off the guy's skull and come right back to your hand like Thor's hammer?
I would love to think that, but probably not the case. Probably not.
Mjolnir. That would be an even better name than what they named it. Name it Mjolnir next time. You can have that for free.
Wait, what is the name of this thing? Say it again.
It is the Tech 21 D30.
Wow,
I have to save my non-Newtonian fluid. It's on the carpet floor, and I have to go and save it. 1 second.
No, wait for after the show. You're so unprofessional.
It's going to kill me.
You're so unprofessional. No, aren't you the one who teaches people not to give into their OCD?
It's not my OCD. I want my poor non-Newtonian fluid to be
Patience.
pristine.
The show's almost over. Patience.
Fine, I'm sitting pretty. So I really like the case. I've already recommended it to someone else that showed me their beautiful iPhone in the small, little, tiny, thin cases, completely smashed to smithereens.
Nice. So we will have 2 more. We'll have another stylus review tonight, another one tomorrow night. And we also shot an episode of iMore TV where we took all 4 of the Pro styluses and we put them head to head in a series of tests for note-taking, for drawing, and for gaming. And we will see who reigns supreme. Allez, cuisine!
Yeah, and one of my favorite cases is, styluses, is in the top 4 that we will be showing.
Nice.
So go take a look at that. We'll have others, and maybe they will supersede the stylus that I really like. But it's there, so
awesome.
Keep watching.
So, Seth Clifford, sir, where can we find out more about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Seth Clifford. You can find me here and on Iterate with Rene and Mark Edwards of Bajango. And if you want to see some of the stuff we do, visit our site, nickelfish.com.
Sweet. Georgia?
And you can find me on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPB. And you can also find me on the website, www.imar.com.
And you can find me at Rene Ritchie on Twitter. You can Google me on the Google+. You can email us all at podcast@imore.com. Find us on Twitter at imore.com, or just leave a comment when the show goes live. There's been a paucity of comments lately. People, go there, leave comments. We will address your concerns, your issues, your thoughts, your opinions on the next show. So I would like to see a good amount of comments. imore.com/podcasts. We didn't talk about the Google Plus app update that just came out. Maybe we'll save that for next week because I'm going to write a rant, an angry Seth Clifford-like Hulk Pants rant about it later tonight.
Oh, good.
Ooh,
I'm looking forward to that.
All right, awesome. Chat room, stick around. We're going to ask you for a name of the show, and we're going to give out a T-shirt to whoever picks the bestest name. And yeah, what's Google Plus? Google Plus is where everyone from Android Central hangs out. You leave them alone. Anything else, guys?
I'm good.
All right, awesome. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah, my Google Plus rant is just that I can't do it. It looks sort of like your dad got all dressed up in hipster clothes, and you really appreciate it. Like, they made it look like Path, and they made it look like Twiddle New. But I didn't need a redesign. I was fine with the way it looked. I want extra functionality. I would like to be able to do more of the stuff that I can do on their website. Right now, they're suffering from the Facebook bug, where I share a link, and it picks the first picture. So all the last 3 links that I shared all have the free iPhone apps, which is similar to when Facebook was having a bug and every Facebook link I shared had Ali Kazmuha's face on it. And it kills me that, like, you know, all these apps like Tweetbot, Clear, I mean, these are like 2 or 5 person development teams, and they're coding around Google and Facebook in the mobile area like it's going out of style. Georgia, do you want to go get your liquid?
Yes, I'm getting it before it melts on my floor.
You just have to grab it fast. It'll stay together.
All right, chat room, what would you like to name this show? If you have an idea, email it to news@imore.com. Just email it, send an email, news@imore.com. You can throw it up in the chat room if you want, but also email it, because that way it's easier for us to pick a winner. And whomever we choose, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of an iMore t-shirt. I'll type the email address.
I have a permanent spot of non-Newtonian fluid on my carpet.
Blame the kids.
Yeah.
Live from Montreal, it's iPhone and iPad Live.
Georgia, that's
Ew,
really good
Sock,
for
that's
resale
a
value in your
horrible
house, I heard.
name for the show. Oh, no, that was Brad. That's a really horrible name for the show.
I missed it. The chat room goes by too fast for me.
It's a horrible name. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, guys? Are we done for the night?
That is it.
Cool. All right, chat room. I really appreciate it. Again, news@imore.com. Send us your show title, and if we pick it, you will get a T-shirt. Right, Georgia?
You got it. I'm just sorry. I'm trying to take that little tiny tuft of hair that will not... There.
Look, you want to steal Rurouni Kenshin's hairdo, you own it, okay? You can't just partially look like a Shogun.
Oh, okay. Fair enough, then.
Seth, do you think there's a chance you might see Avengers before the next show?
Yeah, there's a chance. Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to try to see it in the next day or two.
Yeah, we've kept Seth busy. He's done 3 podcasts in a row.
Yeah, I could have seen it
Did you
last
really?
night
Holy
or the
hell.
night before. Yeah, I know. I'm starting to feel like
Okay,
Rene
so
every
then
night.
it's Renee's fault.
We talked to Lauren Brichter of Tweety Fame on Monday night, and then we spoke to Phil Ryu of Clear and Josh Clark of Global Moxie last night. The back-to-back iterates, man.
See, Brad hasn't seen it. I'm not the only one.
Does Brad live in New Jersey?
It doesn't matter.
You can go out your window and watch it, Seth. It all happened in Manhattan. No, Cincinnati. Okay. All right, guys. Have an excellent night. Chat room, thank you so much. You are awesome as always. And we will see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.